Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Appreciate you spending some time with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Casey Gaines back there on the ones and twos. Loads and loads to react to from the weekend that was. We'll talk Heisman. We'll talk college football playoff. I'll give you my thoughts on all of that, and then we'll hear from Denton Day from SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. He's with us at 1:30 each and every Monday. Got some basketball to react to from Friday night that we'll eventually get to. The Saints were bad again yesterday, and my fears from my monologues yesterday actually came true with the black and gold on Sunday, so we'll certainly talk about that. We've got Take It or Leave It coming at you as well. So lots and lots to do here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We start with yesterday morning. I was in my bed watching on TV. They fire up number 1 Michigan, fire up number 2 Washington, and they throw Texas up there. And then they pause and they set the dramatic scene and they throw that Crimson A up there. I was shocked. And I sent out a tweet just kind of putting some laugh emojis to it. But I was shocked they did that. And it's led to what's now 27 hours or so of reaction from around the country. And most people fall in line with where Booger McFarland was yesterday, just incensed at the result. Mike Greenberg said that we've turned college football into figure skating. And then you've got the Dan Orlovskis of the world and the Kirk Herbstreits of the world that are saying, look, said 4 best teams. We don't think Florida State's that team. But the people that matter, the opinions that matter, were in that Grapevine, Texas ballroom. And they came up with Alabama. And Boo Corrigan, who's the chairman of the selection committee, who's the athletic director at NC State, gave his rationale on TV yesterday.
Well, I think in looking at it, and again, that was the decision, was Alabama at 4. Florida State is a different team than they were through the first 11 weeks. Coach Norvell, their players, their fans, an incredible season. But as you look at who they are as a team right now, without Jordan Travis, without the offensive dynamic that he brings to it, they are a different team. And the committee voted Alabama 4 and Florida State 5.
This is what this boils down to. Not strength of schedule, not best win, not worst loss, not number of wins or number of losses. This boils down to 3 hours of football in the swamp. The selection committee simply looked at this and said, we don't think Tate Rodemaker played very well against Florida. That's why they're out. This had nothing to do with the Louisville game, had nothing to do with any of the games of Jordan Travis. It was one game in the swamp. Tate Rodemaker, 1 week to prep as a starting quarterback, hadn't gotten reps all season. He goes out there and plays against Florida, completed 50% of his throws. The offense wasn't great. They were losing late in that game. He finished 12 of 25 with 134 yards, and Florida State won 24-15. And that, they determined, was not good enough. Who cares what the third team guy does? He wasn't going to play in the playoff. This is all about Tate Rodemaker. It's a dangerous, dangerous precedent to set. And by now, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, 7 hours after this has been done, you've heard all of the examples that people have given with Cardale Jones leading Ohio State to a national championship, although they did have the 59-0 sample size to go off of against Wisconsin. But what they're doing here is not evaluating the teams. They're saying what they think about Florida State's chances and about Alabama's chances. And the truth is that when two football teams get out on a field, we don't really know what's going to happen. We can think, but we don't know. We don't know if TCU can play with Michigan. Oh, they can. We don't know if TCU can play with Georgia. Oh, they couldn't. But this is the same group that has put Cincinnati in the playoff, that has put Michigan State in the playoff, that has left Alabama out of the playoff previously. And they changed their entire way of thinking for this season. Now, I have said on this show, time after time after time, that the only thing that matters in college football is the number right of the dash. How many games have you lost? I don't care who you played. How many games have you lost? And I've always said that. And yesterday, they proved me wrong. They did change the way they operate. I just think it's a dangerous thing to do, to boil a group of 85 scholarship players down to one guy. Backup quarterbacks win all the time. All the time. LSU went to Atlanta 16 years ago and 22 years ago and played a backup quarterback and won against good teams. Cardell Jones, Brock Purdy, last year. This happens all the time. You don't know what Tate Rodemaker looks like after a month of prep with a great defense and unbelievable skill players around him. Again, do I think Alabama's better than Florida State? I do. Doesn't matter. We've never operated like this before, and they just decided to do it. And I think a lot of people would listen to me and go, oh, the Baton Rouge guy, the LSU guy, he's just jealous of Alabama. I'm over that. I lost that war years ago. I spent the first 7-8 years of the Saban era pulling against them with all the hate I could muster. And they won so many national championships, I just got tired. I said, I'm done with it. What's another one? Who cares? This has nothing to do, in my estimation, with Alabama. It has everything to do with Florida State. And you've heard me say on this show the last few weeks that I was pulling for Florida State to lose because I didn't want to see them with a backup quarterback in the national championship game, but that's not the right thing to do. I mean, it's not like Bama is some sort of juggernaut here. They were atrocious against USF. What if that was the last week of the season? They got lucky to beat Auburn, who had gotten boat raced by New Mexico State 7 days earlier. All of this heaped together just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. You don't know what the Florida State team looks like. Rodemaker didn't play on Saturday. If you had a month sample size and they hadn't scored a touchdown yet, they look like Iowa, then, we have no sample size. You have 4 quarters of football when the guy's been practicing with the ones for 5 days. This is an awful precedent to set. Because you can shoot holes in this thing every which way. From Alabama not looking great a lot, to not giving Florida State a chance, to the rankings, which somehow Texas had a worse win than Florida State, but they move up 3 spots, and Florida State does fall out because Alabama's supposedly better, but you keep them in front of Georgia, who I think everyone would suggest is better. And we all think Georgia's probably the best team in the country, but they're not in. There are so many holes in this entire decision-making process that I'm honestly shocked they did it. Because it would have been so easy to go Michigan 1, Washington 2, Texas 3, Florida State 4. And then say, hey, yeah, Bama, you lost the game to Texas. We have the head-to-head. Yeah, Georgia, you didn't win your league. You're out. Yep, Florida State, undefeated, conference champion. Went over LSU out of the league. Beat a top 15 team. Showed great defense in doing so. Like, that would have been so easy for them to do, which is why I was telling everybody that would listen to me via, like, text messages and stuff, like, Bama's not going to get in. It's so easy. I'm shocked they came to this conclusion. in my opinion, does line up with the selection committee that Alabama being in this thing and playing Michigan is a better football game than Michigan-Florida State. But we don't know that. We know that Florida State ran the table, beat LSU, and has won 2 games with their backup quarterback away from home against reasonable competition. We know that Florida State has All-Americans and potential first-round draft picks. This is not Cincinnati. And they just didn't care. And I'm not going to put on a tinfoil hat, and I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, TV networks are in charge. They just want the ratings. They're protecting the SEC. Like, I refuse to allow myself to believe that the people in the ballroom in Dallas are sitting there going, man, we really need to get these ratings up so we can sell this TV package for more and grease everybody's pockets and create some more revenue. We really can't throw Tate Rodemaker out there. We need to put Jalen Milroe in Alabama out there. Let's just flip them. I cannot allow myself to believe that that's a talking point in that room. This is a sport that we all love so much. I cannot allow myself to believe that it's been manufactured for money. And I don't. I think they just thought that Alabama was better, and I think that's a bad process. Because nobody would have suggested that over the course of this playoff run, that Michigan State was one of the 4 best teams in the country, that Cincinnati was one of the 4 best teams in the country, that TCU was one of the 4 best teams in the country. There's no way anyone thought that. But because those teams won a lot, they got in. And in one fell swoop over the weekend, we threw all that history out and changed the process up. And they had been laying this groundwork for a couple of weeks since he got hurt. Everybody that could come on was coming on saying, oh, not necessarily the most deserving team, it's the best team. And that's what Kirby was clinging to. And now you can tell they were just laying the foundation to go ahead and take Florida State out and put Alabama in. I'm stunned that they did it. We'll see how it all shakes out. But Florida State, that's a screw job. Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show here from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. When we come back, there was a game on Friday night, and we were all locked into it pretty tightly. What does it mean for this coming Saturday? That's next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Still lunchtime. How about Jersey Mike's? Highway 30 in Gonzales. Love our friends over there at Jersey Mike's. They're near the New Heritage Shopping Center. It's north of I-10 on Highway 30 at the Tanger Outlet Mall exit. Jersey Mike's, fantastic stuff, and they'll help you out with your catering. They can do individually boxed lunches that include chips and a cookie that are great if you're trying to feed the office. They can also do big boxes that have a ton of wrapped subs in them. You can do 12 subs wrapped up. That's great for tailgate parties, feeding in bulk. You got some family coming over for the holidays and want to do something easy. Jersey Mike's can help you, and it's delicious in the process. Highway 30 in Gonzales near the New Heritage Shopping Center. Download the Jersey Mike's app. You can find them on DoorDash as well. Jersey Mike's, it's a sub above.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a $1 million
for a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench, as Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football joins the show to talk Saints. Plus, we have a new edition of OTB Mailbag, and we look ahead to bowl season in college football. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You know, someone once described Twitter to me as the world's largest sports bar. And that's all. I don't remember who it was. I think it was somebody on Twitter that actually said that. And I thought that's just a great analogy, because while it is a cesspool of negativity very often, it does have its moments, like I felt Friday night, where everybody is watching the same thing. Everybody was on Oregon and Washington, and most of my Twitter feed is very much involved with the implications that game had on the Heisman Trophy. And it felt like we were all watching it together, even though we weren't. And I thought that it was pretty straightforward. I thought if Bo Nix played a great game and Oregon won the Pac-12 over Washington, a top 5 team at the time, that he would have the inside track to win the Heisman Trophy, because the argument would be made that not statistically, because obviously Jaden Daniels statistically had that thing on lock, but the argument would be, okay, this guy played better in bigger spots than Jaden Daniels. He went and he played Oregon State, top 15 team at the time, everything on the line for Oregon, goes out there and has a great game and they win, then comes back and avenges the only loss that he had had under the lights, only game on Friday night to get into the playoff, all that. Like, that would, I think, have been trouble for Jaden Daniels. We'll never know, but maybe I'm wrong. But that's the way it felt to me. So we're all sitting there watching, and Washington throws the first punch. I mean, they come out, they lead 10-0 in that game, and I'm thinking, man, this is going well. Nix is not playing very well. They're punting, and it's lining up. And you go to halftime at 20-10, and then Oregon comes out and really, I thought, took control of the game in the third quarter. They took the lead 24-20, and Nix had accounted for 2 touchdowns early and was running a little bit, and I'm thinking this is not going great. And all the while, like, Jimmy's tweeting out the odds. Everybody's got the odds, and they're changing almost by the possession. When Nix throws a touchdown and Oregon takes the lead, he becomes the betting favorite. Then when he throws the interception and Washington takes the lead, then Jaden Daniels becomes the favorite. And it fluctuated so big. And then when Washington scores to take a 2-score lead late, I mean, Jaden Daniels becomes the overwhelming favorite. He was like minus 600 at that point. We got Jimmy Ott tweeting out like curtains, it's over. And it felt that way. With 2 minutes to go, Washington goes down and gets that touchdown. You're like, all right, we can put it to bed. This thing is over. And then Nix threads the needle, and the Oregon kid turns the corner and takes it in from a mile out for a touchdown. And I'm going, oh, my God. No way. No way he's going to get the stage to come back from 2 scores down inside of 4 minutes. But Washington recovers the onside kick, and they do enough to get it home. And I believe that eliminates Bo Nix from any possibility of winning the Heisman Trophy. And if you start talking about Michael Penix and his undefeated season and the way that he played in that game, I think it's tough to make the case. Michael Penix for this season ran for negative 18 yards. Jaden Daniels edged Michael Penix in total offense by 90 yards per game. 90 yards per game. If you looked at just purely passing numbers, Penix's are very good. He finished the season with the most yards per game in the country and obviously the most passing yards in the country. He threw for 4,200 yards, a little over that. Jaden Daniels only 3,800 yards, so per game it's about a 7-yard difference. But if you factor in the fact that Jaden Daniels accounted for 40 passing touchdowns and only 4 interceptions, Michael Penix 33 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, that becomes very difficult to do. And you look at the fact that Michael Penix had a couple games that were just absolute clunkers. I mean, against Arizona State, he was 27 of 42 for 275, threw a couple of touchdowns, and they didn't score an offensive touchdown in that game. It's a bad Arizona State team, by the way. And Jaden never really had the clunker. Yeah, his second half wasn't awesome against Florida State, but the numbers look pretty good overall. And I do think that Jaden Daniels, that long run against Florida is kind of the Heisman moment. You got a quarterback that can take it 85 yards for a touchdown. That was that day, and then he backed it up with more highlight-level plays. I just don't know if there's a case to be made for anybody else. I think that Nix gets an invite. I think that Penix gets an invite. It would not shock me if Marvin Harrison got an invite as well. But at this point, statistically speaking, in terms of the moments, I just don't know that you can make a cogent argument for anyone but Jaden Daniels. I'm sure folks will vote for Michael Penix, but I saw a lot of Heisman voters on Twitter today getting their thank you for voting for the Heisman Trophy, just kind of prove, hey, I've submitted my ballot. And many of them suggested it was a pretty easy call for them. And when I read that, I think that the easy call is going with Jaden Daniels. It would take a lot of gymnastics to get to Michael Penix or Bo Nix. It seems easy to me to point to Jaden Daniels, the ridiculous statistical season that he had, that LSU continues to churn out the content with the billboards and that kid Jaden doc that they're airing and the statistics that are being blasted out all the time. I think that people are too aware of just how phenomenal Jaden Daniels was all season long, and I think that it's going to be open and shut case, and I think that the vote will be pretty decisive on Saturday, and LSU will have the third Heisman Trophy winner in the history of the program. I think that's a very, very, very cool thing that we got to witness. Yes, disappointing that LSU lost 3 games and struggled on defense so badly in those games, and couldn't do enough to get Jaden onto a bigger stage than they did, but ultimately he was so good and nobody came and took it from him. And that's what it was going to take. And I thought it was set up for that, but nobody came and took it from him. So I think Jaden Daniels will be the Heisman Trophy winner. Incidentally, I think some of you Saints fans will be enamored with this a little bit. Pro Football Focus came out with its first mock draft of the season today. And with the 9th selection, the New Orleans Saints taking Jaden Daniels. It's a cranky fan base right now. But you take an LSU Heisman winner and put him on that roster, all of a sudden, I think you can kind of reignite the fuse there a little bit. I think that would make some people very, very happy down here. We go from years and years and years of, they never signed any LSU players, never any LSU players, no LSU players. And they sign Jarvis Landry and sign Tyrann Mathieu, and then they draft the Heisman winner. I think we could all agree that would be pretty fun. But I think first things first, that is the Heisman Trophy on Saturday, and I think LSU will be the recipient of the third Heisman Trophy in program history. Very, very cool for JD5, who seems to be taking his stride. And huge, huge, huge hat tip to Cody Worsham, to Emily Dixon, to the entire crew of folks that are working in media production over there at LSU, because they are doing a sensational job promoting their guy for this award. It's been really, really cool to watch them kind of unleash all the technology and all the creativity and all the resources that they have to launch this campaign. And they were certainly prepared for it entering the season, and they've executed that plan to perfection. It's been really, really cool to just see Twitter flooded with all the awesome stuff about LSU's quarterback this year. So we'll see. Matt's going to head up to New York on Friday. He'll do his show from Legends on Friday, and then on Saturday, a special pre-Heisman Trophy presentation show. So we'll have a presence up there in New York, and very much looking forward to see what Matt can drum up there, because I think it's going to be a very, very cool weekend for the purple and gold. All right, we're moving along here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Plenty to get to. The weekend in SEC basketball, LSU played Southeastern in hoops. We still have to talk about the Saints in hour two, unfortunately. But when we come back, Denton Day, SiriusXM's college football overtime. He's on air every single Saturday from 11 to 1 our time, breaking down all things college football. We'll ask Denton Day, hey, what do you think about the selection committee? Hey, what do you think about the Heisman Trophy? I've got a feeling I know where he's going to lean on the Heisman Trophy, but we'll chat with Denton Day coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Protect yourself from power outages. Boudreaux's Electric can do that for you. Neil and Melissa Boudreaux have run Boudreaux's Electric for 40 years. They are a certified Generac generator dealer. Not just that, a premier Generac generator dealer. If you give them a call, I'm going to give you the number here in a second, but if you give them a call between now and Christmas, so you got about 3 weeks, if you give them a call between now and Christmas, they're going to give you significant savings on a Generac generator. Such an awesome thing to have in your home. We know that storm season can get hairy around here, lose power for a few days. Don't let that happen to you. Let Boudreaux's Electric install a Generac generator. Every single generator comes with a free 10-year warranty, a free 10-year warranty on that generator. A fantastic deal from our friends over at Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving.
for a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench as Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football joins the show to talk Saints. Plus, we have a new edition of OTB Mailbag, and we look ahead to bowl season in college football. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Let's head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chat with our guy Denton Day, Sirius XM College Football Overtime each and every Saturday during the season, always with us on Mondays. Denton, how are you, sir?
Hunt, I'm doing good, man. What do you want to talk about today?
I've got a few things on the list. What was your surprise level, if at all, when Alabama's logo popped up yesterday?
I was definitely shocked, but it's kind of like it's the surprise factor, which I'm sure we've all been in this position, right? You have a night out with your boys, and you're egging your boy on to do something silly, thinking there's no way he's actually going to do it, and then he does, and you're like, oh my god, I think they'd actually do it. That's kind of what it was. I thought to myself, yeah, like it makes sense for Alabama to be in over Florida State, but surely they're not going to leave an unbeaten Power 5 conference champ out, and then they did. So I was surprised, but I wasn't exactly flabbergasted, if that makes sense.
Did they do the right thing?
Yeah. I mean, they did. Like, I know that sounds terrible for Florida State, and yes, football is more than just a quarterback, but their offense was completely inept for basically 2 games. Like the game against Florida. You've watched Florida, I've watched Florida. They're not exactly a high-powered defensive team, and they just couldn't move the ball. And when you add the fact in that a third-string quarterback was playing in the ACC championship game, Michigan versus Alabama to me, is a much better matchup. But Alabama is a better team right now than Florida State is. It sucks, certainly. There's no doubt it sucks, but I think you can recognize it sucks that Florida State got left out while also realizing that Alabama is the better team at the moment.
It just didn't look great in Jordan-Hare a couple of weeks ago. They needed a miracle.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. But they got that miracle.
Yeah.
So that's just the way that this thing rolls.
It's fascinating. Let's talk about some of the games that we saw this weekend. We'll start out west in the Pac-12. Everybody was picking Oregon. Were you in that number?
Yeah, I was in that number, and I put my money where my mouth is, and I paid the price for it. Now, thankfully, your boy was huge on Washington to start the season, so I had a futures bet on them getting to the college football playoff and winning the Pac-12. So I profited, but I was really surprised with the way that the Bo Nix played, and not the good surprise. It looked like for at least the first quarter or two, we saw the Auburn Bo Nix and not the Oregon Bo Nix that we'd seen through all of this season. So, I mean, once you got into that deficit, if you were Oregon, there was just no way they could climb themselves out. Washington earned it. For whatever reason, Michael Penix turned the clock back to, early October and was the old Michael Penix, and Washington got it done.
It did, and Alabama got it done in Atlanta against the Georgia Bulldogs. What does that say about this Crimson Tide team?
I mean, I think they played their competition. You just mentioned the Auburn game. I think that's a perfect example. They should have shredded that Auburn team. And, yeah, obviously, a game like the Iron Bowl just brings a little different intensity than most other college football games bring. But Alabama plays to their competition. They beat a really good Georgia team, and I think they earned their right with that win.
Were you surprised that Alabama was able to kind of control that game?
Yeah, I was surprised the way that they won. Like, if you were to told me that Alabama would have won, that's not all that surprising. But the score, I don't think, reflected how good Alabama played. They did kind of what Texas did to them early in the season in the trenches, where it felt like for a majority of the games they were winning that battle. And at least because of the last 2 years, we've been so accustomed to Georgia just dominating on the offensive and defensive line. It was really telling that Alabama was able to kind of manhandle Georgia for a majority of that game. So I was surprised with that aspect of it, not necessarily Bama winning. I could have seen that one.
How good is Texas?
I think Texas is really good, especially now that Quinn Ewers is healthy. Like, they have those weird games in kind of the late stages of the season where Ewers wasn't in, and then he came back and he missed a couple weeks and starting a little slow. But man, Sark can dial the plays up like anybody in our sport. And when Quinn Ewers is playing well, he's playing well. They're going to be a tough out. I think that's That's the sneaky team right now in the college football playoff. Obviously, Washington's good. Michigan is really good. Alabama's good. But the sneaky team to watch is Texas, because if their offense is firing, I think they're the second best offense in college football. And the first best offense, the team we've talked a lot about, right in your neck of the woods. I think they're the only team that's better when they're rolling on offense in Texas.
Yeah, the Tigers was fun to watch for the majority of this year. Do you think Sark sustains this in Austin?
Yeah, I think he can. I think he can, especially when you look at the talent they have coming back at quarterback. I think they can. He's just so good at dialing it up. And, I mean, once they started doing flea flickers and getting a defensive lineman touchdown in a Big 12 championship game, that game was over. I mean, Oklahoma State didn't have a chance. That was just him flexing at that point.
It was a solid performance. I had a season-long pick 'em, and it was coming down to this weekend, and I was on Oklahoma State, and that did not go well. They just got annihilated. I was getting like 14.5 points too. Just did not get home with the Pokes. Let's talk Heisman. Is this a difficult decision for the voters?
It shouldn't be. If anybody's been paying attention, this should not be a difficult decision. Bo Nix had the opportunity. Bo Nix squandered the opportunity. Jaden Daniels should be your Heisman winner. If he's not, honestly, that might be more of a travesty than Florida State not getting into the college football playoff.
Who would you invite to New York?
Do I get 3 guys, or can I extend it to 5?
You can extend it to 5 if you want.
I don't know if I can fit a full 5, but it's just nice to have that buffer. I would definitely do Jaden, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix. And if I was feeling generous, maybe Ollie Gordon, just to give the running backs a little bit of love, but certainly Jaden, Bo, and Michael Penix. Those are the 3 for sure. And then if I'm feeling good, no one on defense. I feel bad. I feel like I should be including a defensive guy, but I can't think of anybody that on defense has played so well that they deserve the invite. But maybe just those 4.
After that play against Auburn and then beating Georgia, does Jalen Milroe have any shot?
No, I don't think so. I think his season's been really, really good, really, really strong, something to be proud of. I think you'll see him next year in that conversation and potentially getting the invite. But I don't think this year.
All right, who do you like early on in the playoff? We'll talk about it again as the month progresses, but who do you like early?
I like Michigan and Texas. And I know it's early. I'm going to flip-flop on that a lot. It seems silly to bet against Nick Saban. I'm not going to do it very frequently, but I really like this Michigan team, and I'm telling you, I got a feeling about Texas. I haven't looked at the odds yet. I need to, because if that number's pretty good. Your boys got to hammer the Texas Longhorns. I really think they got some.
Seattle, not real close to New Orleans. Austin, kind of close to New Orleans. I think they're going to have a lot of people in the French Quarter coming up at the end of this month. I think that's going to be a heavy Texas crowd.
Yeah, I think so too, and that you're going to see a lot of burnt orange there for sure.
We will do it. Denton, we appreciate it, man. We'll do it again next week.
I appreciate it as always, man. Be well.
He's Denton Day, College Football Overtime on Sirius XM Radio. Every Saturday during the season, he was on at night, and he was always with us on Mondays. We'll do it throughout this month until the college football season goes into the rearview mirror. Look, Denton says he buys it. He thinks that you got to put the best teams. But at that point, like, I'm just going to have a hard time not having Georgia in the playoff. Like, if we don't really care what the result is, or then why don't you add Georgia? Take Texas out. They lost to Oklahoma. Oklahoma stinks. Like, I think that there's just a lot of gymnastics that go into this, and I think anybody that's trying to minimize that, I understand where you're coming from. I just fundamentally disagree that you're just setting such a bad precedent that you're just kind of going on, well, they got more 5 stars, and it's icky to me. And it's one of those things that y'all probably get sick of hearing me talk about the fact that I appreciate the flow of the college baseball or college basketball season more than the absurdity that can be college football, where one play here or there just means so much in the grand scheme of things. And then you boil it down to a subjective situation like this, when you're dealing with such a small number that's 4, and it's not like 64 where you've got some margin for error. It just becomes so difficult. And we knew that they were going to have a very difficult task on their hands. I'm just stunned that they did what they did instead of taking the easy way out. So here we go. I mean, I'll watch Michigan and Alabama. Trust me, I'm not going to boycott the sport or think it's some sort of illegitimate situation. I'll watch, but I'm gutted for Florida State because having obviously followed 3 national champions here in Baton Rouge, that run is so much fun as you go throughout the course of the season and you build to that crescendo. And just to have it ripped away at the end like that after a great 12-0 season that included a huge non-conference win and a conference championship, and then to have, say, yeah, you don't get a chance, just go sit in the corner. Man, that's brutal for the ACC. Brutal. Well, we'll see. All right, we got one more segment to go here in hour number 1. Come back with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Been thinking about joining FanDuel? No better time to get in on the action. Yeah, it's so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. Visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
For a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench, as Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football joins the show to talk Saints, plus we have a new edition of OTB Mailbag, and we look ahead to bowl season in college football. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Heisman watch time for LSU's Jaden Daniels, and we want to give you a front row seat live from Legends in New York City. Catch After Further Review with Matt Moscona Friday. Then Saturday, Matt hosts the Heisman Preview Show at 5 p.m., followed by the Heisman Ceremony live on Eagle 98.1 and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our coverage is brought to you locally by Acura of Baton Rouge and the Insurance Network of Louisiana.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. We're closing out hour number 1 here on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. December's always a weird work environment. A lot of parties, people using vacation days. Sometimes there's just not a lot of productivity going on. If you're not producing very much today, but you're hanging out with us, we appreciate it. We're glad to be with you. I'm going to talk a little LSU basketball in hour number 2. We'll also have to get to the debacle that was the New Orleans Saints and the start they got off to yesterday, so we'll do a little bit of that coming up. We were talking to lead off the show about how you don't really know who's going to win a game. You can't tell Florida State they can't play because you don't know that they can't go out there and win. You just think. And we started rattling off some upsets and whatnot, and upsets happen all the time. And I think when your team gets upset, it obviously strikes a nerve, and we get visceral reactions, and people get cranky, and that happens all the time. And LSU's basketball team actually won on Friday, but every time they do lose, we get what seems to me like a sizable portion of those willing to post on social media or on message boards or wherever that want to indict the entire program because of 2 hours of basketball. And I've said time and time again, like, I'm not going to get into that game every single time they lose a basketball game because it's just not what I'm going to spend my time thinking about. But I do want to point out that teams elsewhere have bad days on the basketball court as well. And I don't think that this goes as noticed because I don't think most people are paying attention to every single SEC basketball score every single day. I think a lot of LSU fans are going to check out on the sport as a whole. A lot of people looking at baseball stuff. I mean, yesterday I tweeted out D1 Baseball Highway to Hoover podcast with Mark Etheridge and Joe Healy talking about LSU's pitching, and I bet there are more people that want to talk about that than LSU basketball. But the point being, people are losing elsewhere. Auburn got beat by Appalachian State over the weekend. We think a lot of Bruce Pearl, runs a good program, made a Final Four with Auburn, made deep runs when he was in Knoxville. Pretty good coach. They got beat by Appalachian State over the weekend. I don't think anybody's trying to rip that program down. Mississippi State got a visit from team across town, Southern Jags. 25-point favorites Mississippi State was over Southern. Jags go into the hump and take them down. Awesome win for Southern. Huge underdog. Great win, but a brutal loss for Chris Jans and that Mississippi State program. And Chris Jans took over and grabbed some guys from the transfer portal, and they made it to Dayton last year as one of the last teams in the NCAA tournament. I think he's done a pretty good job there at Mississippi State, but pretty poor effort over the weekend. And speaking of powerhouse programs, Casey, close your ears. Kentucky beat Miami by 22 points in Rupp Arena last week. 22 points. Blew out a top 10 Miami team. They turned back around 4 days later and lost to UNC Wilmington. The Seahawks went into Rupp and beat them 80-73. And while I did not watch the game, there's not any statistical anomalies. It wasn't like UNC Wilmington was 15 of 21 from 3 or something. No, that wasn't the case. They were 11 of 31. Solid effort, 35%, but nothing flashy. Kentucky turned the ball over too much. But that's just kind of the way things go in college hoops. Some nights you have it. Kentucky certainly had it against Miami. Some nights you don't. And you get beat by UNC Wilmington in Rupp Arena. And I still think Kentucky is going to be really good. They are young. Their top 6 scorers are 4 freshmen and two upperclassmen. But bad day for SEC hoops. Bad weekend for SEC hoops when you see that Auburn loses to App State, Southern beats Mississippi State, and UNC Wilmington goes into Rupp and wins. So if you just take a snapshot of where things sit right now in terms of the Southeastern Conference in basketball, and I think people kind of starting to ease into basketball season now. Football season's over for the regular season, and more people are fired up about the transfer portal than they are whatever bowl game you're going to. It's just the reality of the situation. But Chris Beard's Ole Miss team got a big win over the weekend and beat Memphis. They are 7-0 and unbeaten at this point, and got Musa Cisse cleared. They've got wins over Memphis, NC State, and Temple to their name. So they are unbeaten to this point. South Carolina is 7-0 as well. And if you're looking for the south end of things, Vanderbilt is 4-4 under Jerry Stackhouse. And as I look at the schedule that Vanderbilt has played, and you realize that they're losing to Power Fives. They lost to Boston College. They lost to Arizona State. They lost to NC State. But they also lost to Presbyterian. And Stack's been there a while, and it's just not working. I feel like Vanderbilt's going to be in the market for a new head coach here if they can't really turn this thing around. And we've seen that, but I don't believe that it's going to happen. And Florida, under Coach Golding, is 4-3 on the young season. They lost to Wake Forest and Baylor last week, a couple of Power Fives. A Wake Forest team that LSU beat. Wake beat Florida by 11 in the ACC Challenge. They also lost to Baylor, and Florida lost a game to Virginia. So solid scheduling by Florida. They've played Wake Forest, Baylor, Pittsburgh, Florida State, Virginia. Like, they've played real teams, but they're not winning a lot. They're 4-3 to this point. So, look, I'm not here to tell you that LSU's clicking on all cylinders and doing things fantastically. We'll talk about what they did on Friday night against Southeastern coming up in hour number 2. But I just wanted to highlight, like, other teams do have some rough goes in November and December. It's not just LSU that is losing to some lesser teams. Just mentioned that Vanderbilt lost to Presbyterian. Mentioned Auburn and Southern and Kentucky. Like, it happens. You just gotta continue to build a program and get better. And look, Matt McMahon talked about Jalen Cook on Friday night and said that they think he checks all the boxes and they're waiting to hear. I'm still not going to have a ton of optimism about that situation based on what's going on around the country. I don't know what got Musa Cisse cleared, and I talked about that last week, but he is eligible in Oxford. I don't know that Brandon Murray is. I think he's still ineligible, and Jalen Cook kind of fits in that boat as well. But LSU, for some reason, seems to have some optimism that Jalen Cook is going to come around. And if they could get him on the floor, I think that makes them a better team. But at this point, they're kind of trying to get by without him, playing freshman point guard and some guys out of position that are trying to handle the basketball. So we'll talk about what they got done on Friday night, and they've got final exams this week, so LSU won't play a basketball game until exams are over this weekend. So kind of a quiet day on that front. I think this week's going to lend itself to a lot of Heisman talk and a lot of transfer portal talk because things are going off the rails in College Station at this point, and we'll have to talk about that. And it's expected. Anytime you change head football coaches, you're going to have a huge bunch of turnover. LSU did this 2 years ago, and A&M's about to go through it in College Station. So we'll kind of talk about a little bit about that as the week goes on as well. So we'll take a time out at the top of the hour. Do always want to remind you that you can catch all of our stuff on demand at 1045ESPN.com. So on demand tab, every single show that we've got is archived there each and every day. You've got Off the Bench, you've got Live at Lunch, you got Hunt Palmer Show, you've also got After Further Review. If you are an app person, we welcome you checking out our shows on our apps, on your apps, Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can find us. Also got 2 YouTube channels that I tell you about every day that we'd love it if you would subscribe to, Hunt on LSU, as well as Hunt on Saints. Those are all football all the time, whether it's recruiting or in-game stuff. All the Saints and LSU content that you want is right there on those 2 channels. So if you don't want to click on the show and try to find what you're looking for in a 2-hour show, Casey does an awesome job of clipping those down, and you can check them out on those 2 channels, usually 8 to 10-minute videos, and very digestible. And if you're looking for Saints and LSU football, you can get them all right there. Also, you can check out our station YouTube page as well. Appreciate those of you that are in the Bayou Ford chat right now, hanging out on this Monday. Always a fun place to be interactive on the show. I opened the show today with my thoughts on the college football playoff and the selection of Alabama over Florida State and the precedent that I think it sends. That was my open. Then I talked about what we learned on Friday in terms of the Heisman Trophy, and I think things are going to be very, very positive down here in Baton Rouge come Saturday evening in New York, and Matt will, of course, be there. Denton Day, SiriusXM College Football Overtime with us every single Monday. He agrees with the selection committee's decision to put Alabama in. He thought they got it right. So if you want to listen to what Denton had to say, you can go do that as well. In hour number 2, we're going to be pretty busy here. We're going to talk LSU basketball against Southeastern from Friday. We're going to talk about the Saints and that performance against the Lion and what the Dome looked like yesterday. I think that's another interesting piece to this entire puzzle. We've got some LSU to talk to as well. We always play Take It or Leave It. So come on back with us after Sports Center. We've got hour number 2. Hope your work week is off to an awesome start. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your tastes. But most of all, you'll find luxury that lets you feel infinitely you. Visit your local Infiniti retailer today.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, the Eagles added linebacker help. ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting they're signing former Colts All-Pro Shaq Leonard to a one-year deal. He also met with the Cowboys last week. After making a statement in their road route of the Eagles, the 49ers are the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl, 3-1 at ESPN Bet, shortest Super Bowl odds for any team this season. Yesterday made it clear it is San Francisco, then everybody else, believes ESPN NFL analyst Rex Ryan.
They're 49, plus 49 against their opponent. Nobody in the league is close to that. Nobody's close. So they play phenomenal on offense, and they're phenomenal on defense. This is a team that has no weaknesses. And so, to me, it's not close.
Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett had surgery for a high ankle sprain. Mitchell Trubisky will start in his place Thursday night versus the Patriots. NFL Week 13 closes out tonight. Jags, Bengals, Monday Night Football, 8 Eastern, ABC and ESPN. With a win, Jacksonville pulls into a tie with Baltimore and Miami atop the AFC. Jaguars are optimistic running back Travis Etienne will play.
Are you overwhelmed by insurance? Make it easy. Get all your insurance in one place with Geico. Plus, get 24/7 claim support and on-the-go policy access with the award-winning Geico mobile app. See how easy insurance can be and go to geico.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll talk Saints here in 15 minutes. Black and gold Delta loss at home to the Detroit Lions. But speaking of Lions, LSU had to deal with some Lions of their own on Friday. So while you were very likely, and for good reason, watching Oregon and Washington play in the Pac-12 championship game, the LSU basketball team was taking on Southeastern. And honestly, it was going about like you would think it would go. LSU was in control of the game, had a lead pretty much the entire game, stretched the lead out in the second half, and with 5 minutes to go in the game, LSU's got a 12-point lead. And that's about what you would think. It was, I think the line was 17. You kind of, play out the string, hit some free throws late, maybe knock in a 3 or 2, and you win the game by 17, 20 points. Like that's where this thing was headed for LSU and Southeastern. And with 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go, Tyrell Ward fouled Carlos Paez. And Paez went to the line and made 2 free throws. Now, it was deemed it was a shots in the ball foul situation, so it was not just a common foul. And so Southeastern got the ball back, and Ward did it again to Paez, and he made 2 free throws. And then, when Southeastern got the ball back after those free throws, Ward fouled Paez shooting a 3-pointer. Carlos Paez made 7 free throws on 1 trip down the floor and cut the lead from 12 to 5 on 1 possession. LSU never touched the basketball. Come on now. That's not what we need. That's just not. And at that point, things did get hairy because Southeastern got a stop. Jordan Wright missed a 3. Then they came down and hit a layup to cut the lead to 3. Jordan Wright split free throws, so LSU led by 4. Then Southeastern gets a run out, and they get fouled, and they hit 2 free throws to make the lead 2 with 2 minutes and 19 seconds to go. Now, at that point, LSU went to the line and did what it had to do. Baker made a couple free throws. Williams made a couple free throws. LSU got the stops they needed. Then Southeastern did hit a 3 with 30 seconds to go to cut it to 3 points, but Jordan Wright went to the line, made them both to get it to 5. LSU got a stop. Wright went back to the line, and LSU wins by 7. So while you can paint this game 2 different ways, it was just LSU controlled that game really for 35 minutes. And then you had that wild possession that, I mean, you don't get a lot of 7-point possessions. But you have 2 flagrant fouls and you foul a 3-point shooter. You give up 7 points in possession. That tips the scales in a pretty large way. And then Southeastern gets some confidence and they hit a bucket. And then all of a sudden you're in a dogfight. So, again, I could paint it that LSU had a commanding 12-point lead with 4 minutes to go and then had 1 bad possession. Or I could look up and say, hey, LSU was only beating Southeastern by 2 points with 2 minutes to go. Both are true, but if you watch the game, LSU kind of controlled it, as they should. Southeastern lost to BYU by 50. Do I want LSU to be in a 2-point game against Southeastern with 2 minutes to go? I do not. I would like it to be a little cleaner than that. But that wonky possession threw everything out of whack. Now, if you look at LSU statistically speaking, Mike Williams was the best statistical player on the team. He was 5 of 7 from the floor. He was 2 of 4 on threes. He has struggled shooting the ball from 3-point range. He dished out 4 assists, and he only had 1 turnover. He did have a steal. He led LSU in minutes with 30, and Matt McMahon really liked his contribution to the game. I think that there's a chance Williams could be a pretty good player. I think he's still young for this level. I don't want to use the term raw because he does seem to have a good head on his shoulders. I would call like Tyrell Ward raw. He's got so much physical ability, so athletic, great frame, can shoot the basketball, but at times he'll turn it over. At times, like I'm just talking about, he committed 3 fouls on 1 possession. Like on-floor awareness can be an issue for Tyrell Ward at times. I don't think that's the case with Williams. He's not as physically gifted as Tyrell Ward. He's not as tall. He's not as athletic. But he had a really nice night in the game. And I like the way that Jordan Wright shot it. He was 3 of 6 from 3-point range. He'd been struggling. He still turns the ball over far too much. He had 4 turnovers again on Friday, and that's just been kind of a puzzling thing with him. He turned it over a little bit at Vanderbilt, and obviously LSU is asking him to do a little bit more ball handling because they don't have a true point guard. But he's just been turning the ball over, and I don't know if that's the reason that Matt McMahon brought Jordan Wright off the bench, or if that was just a matchup thing. I'm not sure. But he did start Tyrell Ward in this game and brought Jordan Wright off the bench, and Wright responded with 16 points. And look, Will Baker was excellent in this game again, 18 points for Baker. He was 7 of 9 on his free throws, 5 of 8 from the floor. And in just 25 minutes of action, he goes for 18 points and 7 rebounds. I thought he did a good job. Foul trouble was what got him in trouble. And that's something that's starting to show itself with this team, is you're getting your bigs in foul trouble. You know, Jalen Reed fouled out of the Denton game when he was playing so well, and Baker was in foul trouble in this game because your guards are not doing a good enough job at stopping dribble penetration coming off the wings. And if your guards can't guard on the wing and out at the 3-point line, it puts your rim protectors in a very, very vulnerable spot. And unless she's already down 1 rim protector because Damian Collins got hurt a couple weeks ago, so he's not able to help you. It's really just Baker and Jalen Reed. You're throwing Hunter Dean in there for a few minutes here and there. He played 8 minutes in the game on Friday. But you're going to get your big guys. And if Will Baker gets in foul trouble a lot, LSU is going to be toast in SEC games. They need him to facilitate the offense because they don't have guards that can get shots whenever they want them. And they're not relying on the 3-point ball very much. The offense needs to be initiated through Will Baker, and they can't initiate the offense through Will Baker if he's sitting on the bench because your guards can't play defense and he's getting in foul trouble because guys are attacking the rim and he's having to protect it. So that's something that LSU's got to clean up. And then the last thing that was just awful in this game on Friday was the turnovers. LSU committed 17 turnovers against Southeastern. Come on. 17 turnovers. That is totally unacceptable in terms of taking care of the basketball. Those turnovers turned into only 10 Southeastern points because you're playing Southeastern, but you cannot turn the basketball over that many times. It's just unacceptable. And it's something that obviously Matt McMahon knows he's got to get cleaned up. I mean, hell, Southeastern only turned it over 11 times in the game. So, and it was a lot of people. Jordan Wright had 4, Will Baker had 3, Jalen Reed had 3, Tyrell Ward had 3. Williams was the only guy that was handling a lot that was actually taking care of it when he got to basketball. So, look, an uneven performance from LSU, probably not as awful as you might think if you looked up and said, look, they were only up 2 with 2 minutes to go against Southeastern. Weird circumstances created that, but LSU led the game by 7 at the half, and they finished it off and won it by 7. 73-66 was the final. As I mentioned, LSU is off for finals this week. They never play a game on finals week, so they'll get finals all finished up this week. Rest of the student body will go home, and they'll continue to play some basketball. Next up for LSU is a big one on Saturday against Kansas State. Kansas State, obviously, a team that was in the Elite Eight under Coach Tang last year. They've had a couple setbacks early this year, but still a good basketball team, a good basketball program, an opportunity for LSU to get some people into the PMAC and maybe get a nice out-of-conference win. They played reasonably enough against Wake Forest and North Texas in Charleston. Going to have to elevate that level of play. Certainly going to have to be better than they were against Syracuse back on last Tuesday. But Kansas State coming up on Saturday. Get your tickets if you hadn't. It's a 1:30 tip. 12:30 Central Time tip in the PMAC against the Wildcats. All right, moving on up. Let's talk about the Saints. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Marucci Sports, a champion of Louisiana. It was started in a Baton Rouge backyard. Now one of the leading innovators in baseball technology. They got their baseball performance lab. People come from all over the country to work there or to just test it out and see what information they can gather from Marucci. Far more than just a bat company. They also help us out in terms of tourism dollars. They host the Marucci World Series each and every summer. And that brings thousands of youth athletes, coaches, and parents to our city to spend their tourism dollars. Marucci Sports, certainly a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, whether it's a business, nonprofit, or a person that's doing awesome philanthropic work here in our state, we want to tell their story, and LWCC gives us that ability with our Champions of Louisiana program. So go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana. Marucci Sports, the champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs.
For a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench, as Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football joins the show to talk Saints, plus we have a new edition of OTB Mailbag, and we look ahead to bowl season in college football. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust invite you to bling in the holidays. Register today at 1045ESPN.com to win a $10,000 custom piece of jewelry handcrafted by Stuart Selassie himself. Bling in the holidays with Citizens Bank and Trust, Selassie Jewelry, and 1045ESPN.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We got punched in the mouth early on in this game, and I thought our guys fought back and battled back. Obviously, we understand there's no participation trophies in our league, so we're going to take the loss. We're going to own it. But there was a lot of things that I was encouraged by in the game. So, but obviously we've got to still play better. So go ahead.
Again, I don't really care what coaches say. You just got to win games, but being really encouraged by that game is certainly a choice. You got a home game, and you're fighting for your life in the division, and you lost because you got down 21-0, and you got to feeling encouraged. That's Dennis Allen after the Saints' 33-28 loss to Detroit, and we'll talk a little bit about the game. Certainly hate to see Derek Carr go down. We'll see what the severity of that is as the week goes on. He's in concussion protocol, and there's a rib injury of some sort as well. And they made the decision to go with Taysom Hill in the red zone, and there are some football things worth discussing. But to me, the bigger issue here is the fan base, the energy around the organization, and the decisions that need to be made moving forward for the New Orleans Saints. I was concerned on Friday, and if you heard my prediction for the game, I was concerned that the Dome could turn on the Saints. This is one of the most loyal fan bases in the NFL. This has been, over the last 2 decades, one of the most feared environments in American professional sports. And right now, that fan base that is so loyal is furious. And they're bordering on apathetic. And because of that, multiple people that were in the Superdome yesterday said that crowd was damn near 50-50, Lions and Saints. Now, New Orleans is a great December trip, especially if you live in Detroit, where the high today I just checked is 40. You want to get out of that? Come on down to the French Quarter, watch your good football team play. That's a heck of a trip to make, so that shouldn't come as a huge shock. Lions fans have a terrible weather situation right now and a good football team. The Saints have a bad football team, and the weather down here is pretty good in December. So it makes sense that a lot of Lions fans would make this trip, which doesn't come up on their schedule every year. But they got those tickets from somewhere. And they're from Saints fans who don't care. And the ones who cared enough to show up yesterday booed the starting quarterback every time he set foot on the field until he got hurt. Now, booing's not my thing. I don't really get it. Seems to me like you would want to encourage your team. You would want to cheer for them, try to support them as they're going through it. But you buy the ticket, you buy the $10 beer, you want to go in there and say, Derek Carr, you suck. Screw you for making $150 million. I bought this ticket, and I'm going to tell you how bad you are. If that's your way of going about things, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. I don't see what it accomplishes unless you're telling me that that's the decision maker for Gail Benson and for Dennis Lauscha to make some decisions with the front office and the head coach. Whatever. But I would suggest that you try to lift up the team. But they didn't. It was a hostile environment for the Saints early in that game. And so Dennis Allen was asked, did you hear the crowd booing your team?
I think it was noticeable, and that's our job to change it. So, I was proud of the way that our guys, fought back, got back into the game, gave ourselves a real opportunity. And at the end, we just couldn't get it done.
And it did. And the Saints did. They fought back from a 21-point deficit, and they had a chance to take the lead in the game. But to me, the toxicity around the fan base and the organization is the bigger story. And so when Derek Carr comes out of the game and is injured, Jameis Winston comes in, and he gives you the full Jameis experience. But part of that experience is him meeting with the media, and he talked about the fact that the home fans were booing.
From my position, I'm always lifting Derek up, but from the city's position, I agree with Tyron. I believe that we got to give them something to cheer for. I know that can be difficult at times, but he was very resilient. He answered the bell. But to the fans, we function off your support, and I know that we got to come in and give y'all something to cheer for, but just know that you impact us because we're trying to lift you up. We're trying to put on a show for you. So your support, your cheering, the inspiration that you give us this is why we do this. We do this for you. We wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for you all. So I just encourage all of y'all to get behind us. That's what this city is about. This city is about resilience. This city is about, building and staying together.
Jameis has some bad sound bites throughout his career. That's undeniable. That's not one of them, in my opinion. I thought that was incredibly well said, and I agree with that sentiment. Now, I know that there are many that don't. And as I just laid out, hey, I buy the ticket. I think they're playing like crap. I want to fire the coach. I don't like the quarterback. They're going to hear from me about it. But I just don't, that doesn't work for me. For me, it's man, we're still in this thing. Let's try to win this game. Let's be supportive. Let's cheer on the defense. Let's not boo the quarterback every time he comes on the field. But again, that's just the way it goes. And that's the feeling around the fan base. And it felt like in the first quarter yesterday that it was possible we were seeing the last few hours of the Dennis Allen era. If that thing gets to 48-7 or something, that could have been the breaking point, I think. But to the Saints' credit and the players' credit, working through the adversity of the Lions being pretty good and the home crowd being super cranky, they played through it and gave themselves a chance, and they just didn't quite get it done. And Dennis Allen was asked after the game, do all these close losses y'all continue to suffer week after week, do they erode the team's confidence?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything eroding the confidence of this team right now. I mean, we're going to keep chopping wood, all right? And that's the only thing you can do in this league. We're going to leave the naysaying to everybody else outside the building. We're just going to focus on what we have to do to try to improve in those areas so that hopefully we can eventually break through and win some of these one-score games that you're talking about because we're obviously close, and we just got to keep chopping wood.
It was I liked some of the things I saw yesterday in terms of a football perspective. I loved Taysom Hill taking over in the red zone. I loved that they got him 13 carries, and he ran it for 4.5 a carry, and he scored a touchdown. They basically out of necessity had to get Jimmy Graham active and out there on the field, and he comes in and makes a big touchdown catch. Olave was healthy enough to go, and he goes over 100 yards with 119. They got Kamara as many touches as they could. He touched it 20 times and came up with over 100 yards on the day. He scored a couple of touchdowns. He's fighting hard. He's playing as hard as he can. It was just too deep a hole because you came out there, and once again, the Saints don't get off the bus. They have been playing from behind for over a month. We went through all the numbers last week of how often the Saints get behind, but really, since Green Bay, they've been getting behind. They let the Bears go right down the field on them and take a lead, which was inexplicable. They got way behind against Jacksonville. They got behind at Minnesota. They fell behind against Atlanta last week. They're just always playing from behind. And now it's difficult for me to sit here and suggest that the Saints defense is among the 10 best in the NFL. That was something I would have been very comfortable talking about in September. But now that we're in December and the Lions scored 33 and The Falcons, who can't decide who their quarterback is, scored 24. And the Vikings, who just got their quarterback a week prior, scored 27. And Tyson Bagent came down and was putting together scoring drives to Cole Kmet against the Bears. You played a backup quarterback against the Colts, and they scored 27. Jaguars hung 31 on you. It's not a bad defense. They're not terrible, but it's not the elite unit that we thought. Finished the season last year holding everybody under 20 and starting the season this year holding the Titans to 15, holding the Panthers to 17. The Packers only scored 18 points. And then you're looking, you're going, well, they've strung this massive amount of weeks together where they haven't even allowed anybody to go over 20 points. That's incredible defense this day and age in the NFL. And now you look up and you go, well, they're not that great on defense, and they have no identity on offense whatsoever. Can't run the ball, stink in the red zone. Carr's made some bad picks. They do move the ball a little bit. There's nothing consistent about what this Saints offense is, and now you've got a quarterback who might be compromised maybe for the rest of the year. I mean, this might be Jameis's team the rest of the go. We'll see what the decision is here moving forward and what the news is on the severity of Darren Carr's issue. It's multifaceted here with the head side of it and the rib side of it. Maybe it's just time for him to shut it down this year. I know he won't think of it that way. And when you're making $150 million, I realize there's probably a part of you that's like, I need to go out there and play and help my team win. But you start dealing with concussions, and we saw what happened to Tua last year. It just becomes so much easier to have it happen again and again and again. So it's just all a bad spot here.
The crazy part was, though, on Sunday they were actually good in the red zone.
Yeah,
but the defense just continues to the defense continues to seemingly just decline almost every week.
Yeah, and then look, Laporta was the go-to guy all day long. Then you get into a huge third down spot where the Lions are going to go for it, try to run the clock out, and you leave him in single coverage against a rookie. Dude, I was listening to the radio for that part. Had to go buy a hose to pressure wash the house. So I was listening to that part of the game, and the Lions break the huddle, and they come out, and Deuce goes, I'm doubling Laporta. Do not let him be the guy. And then Goff back to throw over the middle. There he is again. It's Laporta, first down. And Deuce is just, how could you let that happen? You got a rookie on the guy that's been killing you all day, and, well, that's exactly what happened. So there's just not a lot of positivity around the Saints, and it just feels like things have to be changed. And as I mentioned back in the first hour, Pro Football Focus put their first mock draft out today and had Jaden Daniels going 9th to the Saints. You want a shot of life down here in South Louisiana? That would be one if Jaden Daniels got drafted by New Orleans. But for now, it's Derek Carr and potentially Jameis Winston, and the Saints have lost 3 in a row. They play the Panthers at home this week. Carolina's not very good, so maybe you can get off the schneid. And then, look, you got the Giants at home. So you would figure the defense will be pretty good the next 2 weeks, just a matter of if is it too little, too late for New Orleans. It's just a bummer of a situation as the Saints lose it 33-28. As we get more information on Derek Carr, we will certainly do our best to pass that along. All right, when we come back, LSU's got a bowl opponent. I'll tell you what I think about the entire situation. That's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Been thinking about joining FanDuel? No better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues, knowledge, bonus bet expires 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone who has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Hurry into your local Acura dealer for the Season of Performance event going on now.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at Relief Windows.
For a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench, as Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football joins the show to talk Saints. Plus, we have a new edition of OTB Mailbag, and we look ahead to bowl season in college football. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There was a time where yesterday was one of the coolest days on the college football calendar, where all the bowl matchups got announced, and the college football bowl mania used to do, where you do the confidence points on every win that you pick, and if you're a fan of a certain team, you get to see where your team is going, and you're going to play an unfamiliar opponent from a different conference. And there was generally a lot on the table at that point. And I'm just going to be very, very honest with you, the listener here. I'm not going to feed you anything over the next month that's talking about winning 10 games or finishing the season off right, or any of that stuff. In my opinion, these bowl games are DEAD, dead. If you need any evidence whatsoever, look at the last two that LSU has played in. That, whatever we watched in Houston against Kansas State, was a waste of everyone's time. You had a receiver playing quarterback. And then last year, Purdue's coach left, quarterback left, all conference wide receiver left, all conference tight end left. They had nobody left. LSU beat them by 100. Nobody cares. Everyone's in the transfer portal. Look on Twitter. Ohio State's quarterback just left. I cannot muster one single ounce of give a damn about the result of these bowl games. I can't. Now, if you want to sell me, we'll get a chance to see Garrett Nussmeier play a full game, Okay, I'm in for that. That's fine. I don't care if you win or lose. But this is not about finishing the season off strong. The season ended when the clock hit 0 against Texas A&M, because that's what we've reduced this to. You open up the transfer portal, coaches are leaving, going all over the place. I mean, A&M has no head coach. Their offensive coordinator works for Arkansas now. The defensive line coach is leaving to go to Syracuse. Their staff's looking for jobs. Their players are leaving. Walter Nolan, gone. Evan Stewart, probably gone. They don't care about their bowl game. Play Oklahoma State in the Texas Bowl on a Wednesday night. Again, at one point, this was a big deal. And I prefer that. I would love it if everyone took bowl games really seriously. The fact of the matter is, you're out of the playoff, nobody cares. And you can come at me and say, oh, I care. You put on that helmet, you get out there, you should finish the season off right. They're just not doing it. I don't know what to tell you. So I don't care that LSU's playing Wisconsin. I looked up Wisconsin. I don't know anything about Wisconsin, so I looked up their record this year. You realize this is a team in Wisconsin that lost back-to-back games to Indiana and Northwestern, where they scored a total of 24 points? If LSU went out at full strength with Jaden Daniels, with Brian Thomas, with Malik Neighbors, they would beat this team by 30. Because LSU would score 45 on them, like they do on everybody, and Wisconsin can't score. 10 on Northwestern, 14 on Indiana, 10 on Ohio State, 6 on Iowa, 22 on Washington State. But again, I don't know who's going to be playing for Wisconsin. I don't know who's going to be playing for LSU, and we won't have that information for a little bit of time. So while this used to be one of the cool things to go, oh, cool, we're playing a team from the Big Ten that I don't really know anything about. It's a step out, you're going to Florida, New Year's Day. Sorry. I'm just not going to sell you that bill of goods that this is an important thing and that 10 wins is a big deal. It's just the season ended against A&M. And I don't think there's anything you can do to get this bowl thing back. Again, quarterbacks are leaving. Coordinators and coaches are gone. Who's calling plays for A&M? I don't know. The last 2 bowl games LSU has played in have been total and complete jokes. And I don't know if this one's going to be or not. So really all I'm worried about for LSU in this bowl game is don't get hurt, and let's see what Garrett Nussmeier and Caleb Jackson can do. It's a showcase for the young players. That's really all it is. Let's put this on a poll, Beck. Like, how do you feel about LSU in the ReliaQuest Bowl? Don't care, fired up, need 10 wins. Get creative with some of the potential answers you can throw up there. I'm curious if I'm the only one who thinks this way.
I don't think you are. Especially after the Kansas State game 2 years ago, I think after that, a lot of LSU
last
fans
year wasn't any better. LSU was on the other side of it.
Right. I think people were a lot more accepting, or a lot. LSU fans are going to be happy if LSU wins by 30. They don't care who they're playing; they're going to be happy. But yeah, I do agree. I think I don't think many people, except for the super LSU fan, are really going to be caring about this.
I mean, obviously Alabama cares. They've got an opportunity to play in the playoff. That goes without saying. But I don't think Georgia gives a damn about Florida State. Is Brock Bowers going to play in that game?
No.
I mean, that's...
I do think, too, though, if LSU was playing a Notre Dame, like let's say LSU's playing Notre Dame in this bowl game, I think there's a little bit more juice for it.
Just because of Kelly?
Well, yeah, and then also Notre Dame's a pretty good team, but I don't know if Sam Hartman's playing.
Exactly.
Is Audric Esme playing?
Unfortunately, is the point. Like, I'm sure Missouri is going to go to Dallas lock, stock, and barrel. They're playing Ohio State. They've got an opportunity to win 11 games and do something they've never done, win this Access Bowl. Ohio State's quarterback just quit. I mean, do you think they care? They lost to Michigan. Season's over. It sucks. I hate it. I'm not sitting here saying I love the players opting out, power to the players, that's all great. And like, it bums me out because bowl season was really cool. It is so So done. And I don't think there's anything you can do to fix it. And they're going to continue to have the bowls because it's football in December and it turns TV sets on. And so they're going to continue to have them, and we're going to continue to send skeleton crews, both coaching and player-wise, to these games. And it's a glorified scrimmage.
Oh, and by the way, Notre Dame will be playing Oregon State in their bowl game, and Oregon State doesn't have a quarterback. So
yeah, DJU.
There's already one. So and then and Sam Hartman, I wouldn't be surprised if he's
Oregon
not,
State's
he's not
coach
playing.
is gone. He left for Michigan State. They don't have him either.
So both those games might be featuring backup quarterbacks and then a new coach and a whole slew of new players.
Let John Trey Kirkland play quarterback. Bring him from whatever's practice squad's on. It's a bummer. I'm curious to see what y'all think in the polls. I mean, if you look at the SEC Bowl matchups, I'll run through them. A&M's got Oklahoma State in the Texas Bowl. Clemson is playing Kentucky in the Tax Slayer Bowl, which was the Gator Bowl. That's on December 29th. Missouri and Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl, also on that Friday. Ole Miss and Penn State will play on December the 30th in the Peach Bowl. Auburn and Maryland in the Music City Bowl, and Georgia and Florida State in the Orange Bowl down on South Beach. And then you got my LSU, Wisconsin on New Year's Day, Iowa and Tennessee on New Year's Day as well. Does Brian Ferentz get to coach that game on offense, or have they relieved him?
I think he's gone.
My cat could have done equal to his performance in the Big Ten championship game. Just goose eggs. And then Alabama and Michigan finish things off on New Year's Day. So it'll be an 11 o'clock game for LSU on New Year's Day. That puts me on the air at 9 o'clock. I'll be there with bells on. I'm sorry. I feel like a curmudgeon. I feel like I'm a wet blanket. I feel like I'm an old man yelling at clouds. But I'm done. I watched the ridiculous Texas Bowl. I watched the ridiculous. I don't even remember what bowl it was last year, honestly. That LSU, were they in the Citrus Bowl last year?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I don't even remember.
It was one of the Orlando ones. It was either Camping World or Citrus.
I remember Purdue. I remember Drew Brees on their staff. I remember that Nussmeier played
it was the Cheez-It Bowl.
Cheez-It Bowl.
That's right, the Cheez-It Bowl, yeah, because they had the Cheez-It bath.
I would have known every bowl LSU played in from the beginning of time when I was watching, and I don't even remember what it was last year. But yeah, they got a penalty for jumping in the Cheez-It bedroom,
yes.
Whatever it was. Or somebody said to stay in a Cheez-It bed. Whatever. Cheez-Its. That's what we're reduced to. Crackers for bowl season. But it's LSU in Wisconsin at 11 o'clock on ESPN 2. We'll step aside, come back, and finish things up. It is the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. It's Christmas time, looking for a gift. How about a new closet? Would be pretty well received, I'm imagining. You just don't have room. You've got so much clutter. You got suitcases and shoes and suits, and there's hangers everywhere, and you can't find stuff on the ground. There's not enough lighting. I've been there. David Vaughn and his team can help you out with that. They come over with a free consultation. They start it with a questionnaire. Sometimes when you're answering how many shoes you have, maybe it's better if the husband leaves the room and the wife says how many shoes they have. But if you get the information across to David Vaughn and his team, they can customize a closet space for your exact situation. And if you're thinking, well, it's just not a great time to pay for that right now, they have financing options available. You've just got to ask about it. Go to onebathandclosets.com, see the pictures of their great work, see the testimonials of their satisfied customers. I promise you this, they're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Go to check out that free consultation. It's at onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take
for a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench, as Nick Underhill of NewOrleans.Football joins the show to talk Saints. Plus, we have a new edition of OTB Mailbag, and we look ahead to bowl season in college football. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Fast moving Monday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you spending some time with us. Got to close things out with Take It or Leave It.
All right, sorry about that. First one here. An indoor golf simulator bar in Cedar Rapids, Iowa offered free beer until Iowa scored a point of any kind in the Big Ten championship game. The bar made a huge mistake. Take it or leave it.
I mean, are they still allowing free drinks? Like, can you just still go
Yeah,
in there?
that's what I don't know what the stipulation is here. I mean, they still haven't scored.
It's just the greatest thing ever. They can't score a point on anybody ever. It's unbelievable. The over-under on first half points for them was 0.5, and they just didn't even sniff it. Well, I guess they sniffed it. They got to the 30-yard line. That's as far as they got. They never got in the red zone the entire game.
And the fact that they managed to win 10 games.
That's just
even
amazing.
even in a not very good Big Ten West is just. So I'm guessing you'll take it though.
I'll take it. Yeah, that's a big mistake. You probably lost a significant bit of cash there. You've got a captive audience. You're going to be able to serve a bunch of drinks because you got Iowa in a big game and you've got golf simulators, and then you say, oh, we'll give you free. The team that can't score, you can drink for free until they score. Well, they didn't score.
All right, next one here. Sources tell Diana Rossini the Jets want to make a switch at quarterback. The team is leaning towards Zach Wilson to take over, but he's reluctant to step back in. Take it or leave it.
I gotta leave this. Zach, you play quarterback for the Jets. If they say you got to play quarterback, you have to play quarterback. What do you mean he's hesitant to step back in?
He doesn't really feel like it, maybe, you know?
He stinks, but he's got to play. I mean, what are we talking about here? What's his contract?
I don't know. That this is.
I don't even know what that means. He's hesitant to step back in.
Well, I guess he's like, oh well, y'all bench me, so I'm not just gonna come back and play for you.
Look,
now,
buddy, you lost your job to Tim Boyle. However, Tim, it turns out, not very good. So we're gonna need you to step back in. Like, I don't understand what has happened in the world of sports. Like, none of the guys in the NBA want to play for their teams. Like, I'm not going out there. You've got, and then you've got a quarterback in the NFL. It's like, yeah, we need you to go play. It's 1st and 10. We need you out there.
Just like we were talking about the football, the bowl games. Nobody wants to play in those.
Well, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just very, 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 very poor situation. The Jets, how do you even evaluate Robert Saleh? Like, what are you supposed to say?
How can you evaluate almost any coach the Jets have had in the last 10 years? I mean, it's just a disaster.
Not good.
All right, next one here. The 49ers are the best team in football. Take it or leave it.
Probably got to take that one.
I'll take it.
That was impressive yesterday. I mean, just absolutely annihilated Philly. Credit to Vegas for putting the 49ers as favorites there. The Eagles' defense statistically has not been as good, and obviously the 49ers went full Deebo Samuel on them yesterday. They've got so many weapons, and Purdy's playing great. I heard Jimmy saying on his show earlier that last week he got Brock Purdy at like 14 to 1.
Yeah.
14 to 1. So that's pretty good cash right there. I think there's a real chance. I still give Philly a chance in the playoffs if they meet again.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now I think San Francisco is the best. I think Miami might be the most frightening at times just because they can get going so fast offensively. But in terms of just the entire package, how physical they are, playmakers, and the way the quarterback's playing, I think San Francisco probably the best bet right now in the league.
Hunt, the IST and the NBA, the in-season tournament.
Baby.
The Pels are in the Final Four.
Wow.
Hang a banner.
Wow.
Take it or leave it.
Do they have any banners in the blender?
Yeah, they've got some
pistol?
division. I think they've got some division champs banners in there.
I'm gonna have to stop short of the in-season tournament Final Four. I would venture to guess if you gave me all day in Baton Rouge and I couldn't go ask Mario, I would not be able to find a single person in the Baton Rouge area that can explain to me how the in-season tournament works. I don't think there's one. Can you?
I think so. I haven't really researched a whole lot, but it is similar to how they do soccer tournaments, so I think I do understand it somewhat.
You got me beat. I have no idea how the in-season tournament works. But the Pels, congrats for advancing. I know they play tomorrow. We'll chat with Sharif about that, but I think we got to stop short. I'll be irked if the Pelicans win this thing, which I don't even know how you do that, and they put a banner up.
So the way it works is they have put they've made groups for the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. Okay. And I think the groups are made up of 4 teams, which I'm not certain on, but I believe it's 4 teams.
Pods.
Yeah, pods. And so the 4 teams did a round robin, and then I think it's the top team from the group moves on.
Like the World Cup?
Yeah, like it's basically like the World Cup, I think.
Group stage.
Yeah, group stage.
Now
right.
we're in the knockout
round. So now
round.
they won their first knockout round game, and so now they're in the Final Four.
I can't. How are we supposed to take this serious? We just always have to change something. We've got to go play games overseas. Everything's always got to change. It's like my fantasy football group. They got to tinker with something. They got to
have to innovate. Right?
You got to. Now we no defense this year. We want to start a second quarterback. It's fantasy football. Just play it. It's the NBA. Just play the 82-game season and then play the playoffs. I feel like a big curmudgeon today. I'm really feeling curmudgeon.
How would you feel though if we did an in-season MLB tournament?
Terrible. It doesn't exist. There's a tournament after the season. It's fine.
All right, last one here. A 2-hour talk show with a gum infection. Take it or leave it.
I'm leaving it. Look, I know that Jordan had the flu game. You had Byron Leftwich getting carried on the field. I got it out in Omaha this year. There's no doubt about that. I had no voice left and got through a 2-hour show at the Ameristar.
Yes.
I've got an infection right now in the back of my mouth, and it is remarkably painful 24 hours a day. This is not fun to get through a 2-hour radio show trying to talk through that. But Jordan shows up with the flu and makes it happen. I show up today, and just what a performance.
Gutsy performance from Hunt Palmer today.
Stuff. You know, I'm the anti-Zach Wilson.
You are.
Thinking about
if you get called in, you're going in, injured or not.
No
whether
question.
you got benched, you're coming in.
And look, I probably will get benched, but you show up and you go to work. It's a lunch pail mentality, and I got through this somehow, some way. It was really a bummer when I went to the dentist today, and they were like, "Yeah, it's infected. Not really anything we can do. Here's some rinse. Just wait it out." Like, oh, fun. And you would think like with a sore throat, like it's like cold drink helps things out. This cold liquid, it just sets it off. I feel like someone is taking an ice pick and jabbing it into the back of my mouth all day, every day. It's a lot of fun.
Well, you made it. You made it, Hunt. You're done now.
I did. My kid doesn't seem to care. He just still rambunctious as ever. I'm trying to lay in bed and not do anything, and he's running all over the place. Whatever. All right, that's it for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. I appreciate you all hanging out with us. Opened the show today talking about the college football playoff and their decision to leave out Florida State, put in Alabama. Talked Heisman in the second segment. I think LSU is in good shape there. Jaden Daniels, I believe, well on his way to being the third Heisman Trophy winner in LSU history. Denton Day agrees with all of that. He was with us at 1:30. He's, of course, of SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. He's with us every single Monday and was at 1:30. Bad weekend for the SEC in basketball. Whenever some of those scores at the end of hour number 1. LSU basketball against Southeastern. Gave that a mention at the top of hour number 2. The Saints have a serious problem on the field and now a problem off the field as well with the way that their fans feel about the organization right now. I talked about that at 2:15. And then my curmudgeonly thoughts on LSU and Wisconsin in the Relia Quest Bowl. That was at 2:30. If you missed any of that, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or on YouTube. Matt's going to drive you home. Coming up next on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I'm Tom Grant.